We're very pleased today to be with Richard Franconis. He's been a Newtown resident for quite a long time, a pharmacist by trade. He's now a board-certified clinical nutritionist, and he is also heading up the Diabetes Awareness Initiative for the Newtown Lions Club. Richard, thanks for having us into your office today.
My pleasure.
First of all, tell us a little bit about what the Lions Club's prolific advocacy for issues related to sight. Where does the advocacy and attention kind of spreading its focus into the area of diabetes come into play for the Lions as an organization?
Well, you know, Lions are a service organization, and our governing body has indicated they want us to get to handle diabetes awareness, basically, as a project for this time. So that's what we're trying to accomplish with newspaper articles and other things we haven't really come up with yet. But this was our initial step to get something in the newspaper and to help folks be more aware.
What do you know about the diabetes right now in Newtown? Is it a major problem, a minor problem, or no problem right now, and you're just working toward making sure it stays that way?
Well, I think it's Newtown's pretty much typical of most American cities or towns like this. The problem is ubiquitous. It's basically a pandemic, and we're trying to make people aware of it and to do things about it, not only for awareness, but we hope to get into some preventative information as well in the coming weeks.
What's the best advice based on tried and true information and research and statistics, as opposed to maybe some developments that have happened more recently through technology and science that we could talk about next?
Well, really, it's diet-based and food choices. Years ago, there wasn't quite as excuse me, there wasn't quite as much diabetes, just like there wasn't quite as much lung disease like COPD and so on. Basically, people are eating worse than they had years ago. There's too much. It's a proliferation of fast foods, which are, first of all, either high in fat or high in sugar, or usually both. And they're readily available, cheap, and people just seem to gravitate toward this because humans have a natural tendency to go for sweet things, fatty things, and these are the things that people need to be aware of. Fried foods, too much sugar and soft drinks, too much white flour, too much fast foods. You can kind of guess at what these are. Chips, all that sort of stuff. Chips and dips, things like that. And people are not eating as many fruits and vegetables as they used to. So it's more or less a degeneration, really, of our dietary habits and lack of exercise. Well, there's more technology today for people to become aware of diabetes. There, blood testing, finger sticking, or other sites on the body like the forearm. You can easily, get tested for diabetes. Years ago, we had to check the urine. These things weren't as available, but they've been available for now 2 or 3 decades, going back even a little further than that. So we have an ability to test ourselves better. As far as the diet is concerned, and the fact that people don't move around as much, that's something else. The drugs that came out initially help the pancreas produce more insulin. The later trends now is that we're trying to get the insulin into the cells. So we use drugs that help the available insulin get the sugar into the cells for energy and get it out of the bloodstream. That's the danger, building up sugar in the bloodstream, glucose specifically in the bloodstream.
As a point advocate for the Lions Club, who are so well known in their crusade to prevent and to support individuals with sight-related issues, from that particular point, can you speak to the concerns that you have, particularly as a Lion and in terms of the Lions cause, in ways that preventing or minimizing the side effects of diabetes will, in effect, in the long run, help the Lions sort of put that issue out of business, perhaps?
Well, it would be nice to put it out of business, but basically it's awareness and people testing and checking into how their dietary habits. I've seen diabetes reversed by people who either had an issue with excess weight or diet, and eating more vegetables and staying away from white flour, sweet things, and all the hidden things that are in prepared foods. Prepared foods are a big problem in this country because you've got to learn to read labels and see if there's high fructose corn syrup and other things that are not going to be helpful, and bad fats and so on. So there's a lot of information out there. The key is for us to get the awareness as Lions. That our project and our purpose here is to get the word out so that people start being aware of what they eat. We are what we eat.
But I think a lot of people don't realize the many other ways that it does impact the body, and specifically in relationship to eyes and eyesight. That seems to be the bridge here between the Lions universal cause and one of the ways that you can come at dealing with this issue. Can you speak to diabetes in terms of the damage it can do to one's sight?
Sure. Basically, having high blood sugar per se is not. No one perishes because of that. They perish because of end organ damage, kidneys, blood vessels, eye problems, blindness. These are the effects of too much glucose in the blood. What happens is the glucose gets attached to proteins in its various organs or end target organs, like the kidneys, and creates the problems, creates the kidney disease, and so on. So the best thing folks can do this is pretty common now, not only blood sugar testing on a daily basis for the patient to control their blood sugar, but also to get the hemoglobin A1C tests, which looks at your erythrocytes or red blood cells over a period of 90 to 120 days, which is their life cycle, and see how much of the sugar has been attaching to the red blood cells. This happens in everybody, but you've got to be within range, and then you know how you've actually done for the last 3 months or so with your program.
In terms of the single best way for somebody who doesn't have or is just beginning to have perhaps a weight issue or is on the path toward possibly being a candidate for diabetes, or someone who has had this type of behavior that it could put them at a significantly greater risk for diabetes, what's the single best way for them to get started on the path toward improved health from your perspective?
Well, I first think you need to get a complete medical exam from your doctor, get the appropriate blood tests to see where you are. A lot of folks with diabetes also have a condition called Syndrome X, or metabolic syndrome, where high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and overweight, high blood pressure, high blood sugar can lead to diabetes as well. So and also to heart disease. It's very important to get a handle on your general health first, and then when your doctor sets you on a path or a program, I think it's a good idea that folks, if they don't have the skills themselves, to check with a nutritionist to find out what they can do to improve their diet, follow their doctor's instruction if medicine is indicated, start on medication, and to become as educated as you can with the problem, and then start working on your lifestyle.
How can a clinical nutritionist be the best part of a team approach between the patient, the doctor, and a clinical nutritionist, and sort of maybe filling in a little bit of the blank area that can make all the difference in the world?
Well, I think the clinical nutritionists, I consider myself really a teacher. We go into, the clinical nutrition is not dietetics, or I don't do what dietitians do, but basically people that come to me have a medical problem rather, and every even health has a nutritional component. So if someone comes to me with diabetes, I will explain to them first of all how their body uses energy, and how the foods that they choose are so important in controlling blood sugar. And there are certain herbal supplements and vitamins that actually help this condition, along with the doctor's medication if necessary. Many times it just requires a dietary approach and maybe some supplements, and if the person can change their lifestyle, they can either reverse their situation or certainly improve it, and we always keep in touch with the doctors to make sure that everybody's in the loop.